This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Serial rapist gets a 21-year sentence. A serial rapist who, over a 3-day period, sexually assaulted 4 women, including 2 sisters, while their mother watched helplessly, was last week sentenced to 21 years in prison under a plea deal. The 35-year-old sex offender Everton Bennett, who was sentenced on Thursday by Justice Judith Pusey in the Home Circuit Court, is to serve 15 years in prison before parole consideration. Bennett, otherwise called Guns of Houghton St. Catherine, had pleaded guilty to several charges on a 17-count indictment on November 15 last year. He admitted guilt to 5 counts of robbery with aggravation, 3 counts of illegal possession of a firearm, 5 counts of forcible abduction, and 4 counts of rape. According to the facts on the Crown's case, Bennett and other men who have not been captured abducted several women between February 8 and 10, 2021. Bennett and his cronies, who were armed with handguns, used a silver Toyota Axio to prey on the victims in the Bogwalk, Point Hill, and the Spanish Town areas of St. Catherine. In the case involving the sisters, on a date in February 2021, the woman and her children were on their way home from church after 9 p.m. when they were held up and ordered into the car at gunpoint. The men then robbed the women of cash and their cellular phones before driving into bushes where they took turns raping the daughters. The mother was forced to watch powerlessly from inside the car. A student and a security guard were also abducted by Bennett and his accomplices and raped in separate incidents. The police made a breakthrough in the investigation after one of the victims memorized the registration plate of the vehicle, which led to Bennett's capture. DNA samples collected from the convict matched those obtained from the victims. Attorney at law Alexander Shaw represented Bennett. Judge rejects a fine recommendation for driver in death of Clancarthy schoolboy. The sentence in hearing for the driver of the garbage truck that crushed and killed a 7-year-old Clancarthy primary school student on the school compound in October 2019 was this afternoon aborted after the judge rejected the recommendation for a fine. Alton Brooks, 55, who pleaded guilty to manslaughter last November under a plea deal, was also taken into custody. When the matter came up this afternoon, Justice Leighton Pusey notified the court that he could not agree with the sentence recommendation even if the facts on the prosecution's case are correct. Additionally, he said there was an aspect in the social inquiry report which he had a difficulty with, and that based on those 2 factors, the defense would need to either withdraw from the agreement or make a submission before sentencing. Brooks's lawyer Davian Vassell, however, asked the judge to give him an indication as to where he was headed so as to better determine the way forward for his client. The judge, in response, said he was of the view that Brooks should be given a custodial sentence, but that he would not reveal the time limit in open court. At the same time, he told Vassell that they could discuss the matter in his chamber, which the lawyer accepted. Following the discussions, Vassell informed the court that he needed to take further instructions from his client and ask for an adjournment until Friday. Primary school student Benjamin Bear was killed in the freak accident while waiting on the compound to be picked up. The incident, which rocked the school community, occurred on October 28, 2019. In the details of the incident previously outlined by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Paul Llewellyn, the court heard that Brooks and the 2 sidemen drove onto the compound at approximately 4:30 p.m. On their arrival, the sidemen told Brooks to operate the compactor, which ran on the throttle to the vehicle, so they could get more space in the truck for the garbage that was there. The truck driver then used a stick to press down on the accelerator pedal in the truck before exiting the vehicle and headed to the back of the truck. While he was outside, the truck drove off and overturned after it collided with a Toyota motor car parked on the compound. Students who were on the compound at the time ran to avoid being hit when the truck started moving, but Bear, who was among them, got trapped by the truck when it overturned, killing him on the spot. Brooks and his 2 sidemen then fled the scene. Brooks turned himself into the police 3 days later and when he was cautioned, said "Officer, me no want go jail, can't manage it." When a warrant for the prosecution was executed on him, Brooks, under caution, said, "Officer, me sorry, a old truck you have to bridge it fi start it. It no roadworthy." An official examination of the vehicle found that there was excessive free play of the steering wheel due to worn defective components and that the tires on the truck were worn and not roadworthy. Jamaica's murder tally at 32 so far. Jamaica has so far reached a murder tally of 32 for 2023. This is a figure up to Saturday, January 14. The information is contained in the latest serious crime statistics published by the Jamaica Constabulary Force. The 32 homicides for the period represents a decrease of 56% when compared to the corresponding period in 2022. According to the statistics, the police division with the most murders is St. James with 5. This is followed by Manchester and Clarendon with 4 each. St. Catherine South, Westmoreland, and St. Andrew South each recorded 3 murders. There are no reports of murders in Trelawney, St. Anne, Portland, St. Catherine North, St. Andrews Central, and Kingston Central up to January 14. The statistics also show a reduction in shootings, injured persons, rape, and robberies. Break-ins, however, are on par year-on-year. Illegal guns seized in Portmore. Cops assigned to the St. Catherine South Police Division on Sunday seized a firearm and 10 rounds of ammunition during an operation in Hamilton Gardens, Gregory Park. Reports from the Portmore police are that about 8:45 p.m., lawmen were in the area when a premises was searched. According to the police, a 9mm Desert Eagle with a magazine containing 10 9mm rounds of ammunition was found. No one was arrested in relation to the seizure. Investigations continue. Man gunned down in Spanish Town. A man was murdered in Trial Heights, Spanish Town, St. Catherine on Sunday night. He is Marcus Tulloch, otherwise called the Bushead, who lived in the community. Residents reportedly heard explosions sometime around 10:15 p.m. and called the police. The police say Tulloch's body was discovered with gunshot wounds to the upper body and head. FSC appoints a special auditor for SSL amid a fraud probe. Doubling down on its enhanced supervision of licensed securities dealer stocks at the Securities Limited, the Financial Services Commission has appointed a special auditor for the investment firm. This appointment comes on the heels of the enactment of an enhanced supervisory regime for SSL announced last Thursday. The special auditor will assist the FSC in its enhanced supervision of the entity and to continuing investigations into its operations. The regulator moved in when it became aware of reports of allegations of fraud at the licensed securities dealer, which has been in existence for about 50 years. Reports indicate that the amount defrauded may be more than $1.5 billion, with as many as 40 SSL clients being affected, including retired Sprint legend Usain Bolt. The FSC said it issued directions to SSL. These directions, the FSC said, are a supervisory tool to allow the FSC to engage an entity in a process of enhanced oversight. The enhanced oversight allows the FSC to have a full view of the integrity of the transactions being conducted, including the movement of funds and of securities into and out of SSL, the regulator said. SSL can still conduct business on behalf of its client, but with the oversight and approval of the FSC. Workers yet to be brought onto new compensation scheme restive. Workers yet to receive their updated pay under the upgraded public sector compensation package are said to be restive. President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, Helen Davis White, says no talks have begun for employees of statutory bodies and the agencies of government. A new pay regime for public sector workers started in December, with several previously received benefits being rolled into the substantive pay for employees. Mrs. Davis White said a plan of action should be forthcoming from the government this week with regards to the other workers who have not yet benefited. She warned that there could be problems in those agencies if the government does not supply this information as promised. Mrs. Davis-White, speaking with the news, said a negotiation on increases for contract workers is being negatively affected by how the contracts are worded.
We have been advised that during the course of this week, they will be giving us a schedule of dates for various agencies and parastatals, and so we await that. If that does not come, I think we're going to have some problems in those agencies, because for many of them, they had job evaluation exercises that were ongoing, that we had agreement should have been conducted, and the Ministry of Finance, by a circular sent out in 2021 or 2020, I believe it was, put a stop to all of these exercises. So workers are becoming very restive in these agencies, and so we hope and pray that the government will come with a schedule of dates. This is not a normal pay increase where you could say you apply X% across the board. When it is that kind of increase, it's easier to implement. Some of the contracts are worded such that the contract workers are not aligned to a particular public sector classification. And in this compensation review, what you are looking at is how people will move in their current classification to the new pay band. So if they are not in the classification, it becomes difficult to determine where they are or where they will go to. And so for many of them, that is part of the problem. There are some, though, whose contracts are cleared, and some of them even say that you will be subject to reviews whenever the rest of the public sector salaries are reviewed. And so those ones, the government should be able to convert them.
Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark has stressed that the negotiations must be wrapped up this fiscal year. He said he is ready to resume discussions on the new compensation scheme with public sector unions representing more than 40,000 employees.
We hope to be able to conclude those in time for the new compensation for them to begin in this fiscal year. As I've said before, we don't have the space in next year to carry the back pay, if I should call it that. The back pay amounts are very significant. We've made space for it this year, and it's very important that we're able to pay it out this year.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.